Now we ready ourselves to worship. And what is worship in a Unitarian Universalist context? Especially if you think of worship as worshiping someone or something, and you don't know what that someone or something is. The word worship is from two Old English words, worth or worthy, and skipping to shape. We worship in order to give shape to that which we deem worthy, that which has ultimate value. Hear now one way that longtime member Tony Filipovich defines worship. These are his words. Growing up, worship was praying to a God who, if he wanted, would intervene in my life and in any event would decide my fate after my death. Now, for me, worship is how I give shape and voice to the awe that I feel faced with the mystery of this life. It's like the slogan of the Children's Defense Fund. The sea is so wide and my boat is so small. And while each of us experiences and expresses this awfulness, each in our own way and often differently at different times, it is important to sit and stand together as we share it. Thank you, Tony, for your words. So let us begin our worship.
Together, let us kindle a flame symbolizing our co-creation of sacred space at home and in this place, made sacred by years of love. As you do, those of you on Zoom, please write in the chat that a chalice is lit on your street. You will find a card in the pew with unison words. Please say them with me. We are a welcoming people of diverse beliefs who commit to nourish the spirit, broaden the mind, nurture the earth, and build community. May this flame we kindle remind us to strive today and every day to love beyond belief.
Before I get started, I realized when Diane was reading the readings, which of course I chose, Macy and I conferred about the story, but before I heard those things being read out loud, I had not quite realized how healed I have become around Mother's Day. This was not a holiday I liked very much for a lot of personal reasons. I remember vividly my first Mother's Day. I was wearing a nightgown when someone took a picture of me with my baby. I think I remember the picture. But I didn't find Mother's Day easy, and somehow I find it not only easy, but important. And so I am grateful for my religious faith, which has helped me get to this place of healing. So, our Soul Matters theme for the month of May is creativity. Today we explore together through story and song, through science, and through our own lived experiences, the promise of creativity. I don't know if you can see what's in front of the pulpit this morning. Can you see it? So sometimes a plant, sometimes a vase of flowers. Today, it's a single flower from my garden and something that looks like a big rock. It is a big rock. It's a rock full of fossilized shells and plants. It's my rock. I picked it up out of Red Bank Creek, a stream flowing into the Allegheny River in northwestern Pennsylvania. A fossil rock. I hauled it out of that creek when I was 12, and I've hauled it around ever since. It's kind of heavy. I was surprised at how heavy it was this morning when I hauled it in. You can come up later and see for yourself if you want. I wanted that rock. I still want that rock for the fossils that pocket surface. And my father said, you can have it if you can carry it. And so I did. The fossils and the plants are signs of biological life long over. And the rock endures and remains and takes on new life, especially in the stories I choose to tell about it. More about the rock later. A little more now about the flower. Like you, I feel sure I am so happy this morning for all the green. Green everywhere, evidence of the lushness and growth of a spring long awaited. Everything finally green, and the seeds of it all planted long ago. Sometimes seeds flowing through the fractal patterns of natural growth, organized though seemingly random. Other times, seeds planted by human hands in purposeful ways, but sometimes jumping the row or the fence and going their own way. Several years ago, I came across a cartoon. I can't find it anymore, but I came across it, and it was of two people digging together in a garden, and it read something like this: I'm expecting flowers next year. How do you know that you'll get them? Because I'm planting seeds. Purposeful human planting for a particular outcome. Creating the future which we want, full of flowers. In a time of climate crisis, we are perhaps more aware than usual about what we need to plant and why. More native varieties, more food for the native pollinators, more swale and berm to prevent erosion and poisonous runoff, more prairie, even as an aid to the growth of standard food crop planted alongside and encouraging that growth. We plant all this and more to protect the land, to promote the plants, to save the planet, and also to save ourselves, because caring for the earth is to care for ourselves, as we are as much nature as the plants. Philosopher Alan Watts laments that civilized human beings are alarmingly ignorant of the fact that we are continuous with our natural surroundings. It is as necessary to have air, water, plants, insects, birds, fish, and mammals as it is to have brains, hearts, lungs, stomachs, wombs. The former are our external organs in the same way that the latter are our internal organs. And Watt goes on to say, the sun, the earth, the forests are just as much features of our own body as our brain. Now, within that context, and I talked about that a little bit more last week, within that context, the insistent reminder that we are nature, not above or beyond it, it's more than a metaphor when we evoke the great Pachamama, the giant, great womb birthing all life. We often evoke our Mother Earth in terms of that warm and verdant surface of the world, full of the various life forms and beauty, full of flowers. And the image of growth and beauty and care, that suits our notion of the gentle arms of loving mothers, all and any of the loving people who mother us, with their tenderness and their warmth. We all need this in some fashion, to be the center of a mother's story, ever hopeful for a future of imagination and adventure, of becoming a self and emerging as a new actor, a new maker in the world. May we reflect with gratitude on the wide spectrum of mothering that happens in our lives and in our communities. For all the communities that mother and for all who depend on the great mother, and that's all of us, today you are held and beloved. On the American calendar, today is the day we set aside to commemorate those who have mothered us, to celebrate them with brunches and bouquets of flowers and fanciful cards and other tokens of esteem. Or at least we bring them to mind if they are not here physically anymore. Mother's Day has roots, however, in the social activism of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Unitarian writer of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, Julia Ward Howe, she wanted a day set aside for mothers to protest war, specifically the Civil War. In 1870, she published the Mother's Day Proclamation, hoping to spark a worldwide movement of mothers for peace. And another woman, Anna Jarvis, herself a woman who elected not to have children. And she did live to lament the commercialization of Mother's Day. She started Mother's Day. Anna Jarvis started the celebration in 1908 with a service at her Episcopal church commemorating her mother, Anne Jarvis. Anne Jarvis, a mother of 11, though only 4 survived. She well understood the hardships of motherhood. Anne had been an organizer through all those years of pregnancy and childbearing. She had been an organizer of work groups of mothers who aided struggling and impoverished mothers, a mutual aid of mothers. For the efforts of peace and mutual aid, Julia, Anne, Anna, all these women were planting seeds, creating the world they wanted to live in, calling together mothers and honoring mothers as a way to make the world better than it is. Did it make an ultimate difference? Did their efforts stop war or end poverty? No. But did it make an ultimate difference? Their examples of planting demonstrate our interdependence, a call to resist devastation and to cultivate good whenever and wherever good is possible. Yes, they made the ultimate difference. We do a disservice to Pachamama, to the Great Mother, though, when we think only of the soft skin of her garden, green with plants and abundant with beauty, full of flowers. We do a disservice to those who mother or organize for and with mothers of all varieties, because looking at only the verdant surface denies the solid and rocky core beneath. To conceive of mothering only as tenderness is to ignore the stony and solid realities of what it takes and on what scale to create life and enable transformation. Out of wombs, we have all emerged. Out of wombs, every single one of us. So far, that's how we all get here. And wombs are not a place of sweetness and light. Wombs are places of energies and forces ripping away and dividing and of destroying possibilities as some genes turn on and some turn off. As we become in that cauldron what we must in order to survive the perils of birth and the perils of living in this world as human beings. We are all created, all of us, within wombs, as is the universe itself. The emerging universe was and is a womb giving birth to all that is. And these are the words of Ursula Goodenough. What is central to the origination of Earth, our life, is also the history of the universe. The cosmic dynamics that have yielded our galaxy, our star, our planet, and the atoms that form all living beings, every one of us. Subatomic particles and the simplest elements collided continuously, gaseous clouds forming and condensing and exploding, stars coalescing and then shattering. The birth and death star cycles happening even now, somewhere in our expansive universe, even as we sit on a green earth, seemingly stable and merely cyclical. Yet on and within this planet, tectonic plates drift and crash into one another. They grind together even when we're not looking. On a scale and following a season of time we can barely imagine, let alone experience. And yet it is all going on. We trust the science that it is true. Our earth, our rock, as well as a garden. Now, why is this important? Why does this matter? Because transformation requires not only planting, but explosion. It requires not only growth, but stirring. Transformation requires force and fire and effort. That can seem heavy, but it's also creative and beautiful. What does that cauldron of transformation look like here at the fellowship? Creativity is our ability to dream things up and make them happen. It is certainly great, very great, to have a bunch of independent thinkers in a room together. And I know we are all that. And it's better, though, to have a room full of independent thinkers who are also makers, who find a way to act together for a common purpose. Each's ideas adding in, but all subordinate to the processes of making a way together. I have a Peanuts cartoon on my bulletin board in the minister's study given to me by one of you independent thinkers. It says, "There's no greater burden than great potential." That sounds heavy as a rock, doesn't it? But imagine the bubbling rather than the burden, the rising up in the fiery cauldron of all the bubbles of thought and possibility, brewing and bubbling up, light and airy, delightful, even if still heavy, because those bubbles join together. I am grateful for all the making evidence in this fellowship, for the community that companioned Jane Shostag as she made her journey, and the people who will pull together to provide a beautiful celebration of her life, to honor her, a beloved pillar. I am grateful for the team effort continuously making Sunday morning good for the long haulers and for the newcomers. And the rummage sale. The rummage sale is a perfect example of potential bubbling up of seeds planted and beauty rendered in the cultivation. Yes, there was a desire, a need to generate some additional income, for sure. And yes, there was a desire to clean out all those spaces that have been accumulating stuff for the last 3 years. And yes, there was a desire to return to something like normalcy after the pandemic. We're still adjusting, still counting losses, still reckoning the costs. But let's just do something we've done before, why don't we? And yes, let's remember the effort to garner volunteers. That sign-up sheet remained blank for so many weeks. And then the emails and the calls to every imaginable person in the fellowship. The effort of few that yielded so many. And so many taking that call, saying, yes, I can do that. The pulling together in one common effort, the sign of life, of planting, of a birth, something there now that was not there before. Work, hard work, beautiful work, community creating, community revealing, community sustaining work. Solid, good, heavy as that rock, evidence of effort and transformation, pebbled with the past and foundation for possibility. What else is brewing in the congregation? What is stirring that can be brought to birth in good time? What are you brewing? What are you brewing? What do you want to see happen? What will you do to make it so? How can our dreams become realities? What are you planting because you want to see the future look a certain way? What audacious hope does one of you hold for this community, vibrating within you and able to stir others into action? Now is always the time for planting and dreaming together. Being alive means living in a mysterious universe. The mystery of why there is anything at all instead of nothing. The mystery of where the laws of physics came from. The mystery of why the universe seems so strange. All we know is that life emerged. It did. Both fiery and green. And for that we are grateful. But it doesn't have to be a mystery at all what we want to do with our lives, especially collectively as part of a religious community. In such mysterious creativity, we too can participate, be part of the emergence that we desire, plant the seeds for the flowers we wish to see. So let me offer a blessing upon this community of doers and makers. May you look around. You could do that now if you want. May you look around and be reminded of all you have done and all that you are doing, all that you carry forward, dreaming our dream into existence, planting the flowers you wish to cultivate. Blessed are those who make us laugh. You know who you are. Blessed are those who make messes. You know who you are. Blessed are those who make do. Blessed are those who make love. Blessed are those who make coffee and tea. You who make with hands and hearts and minds, who make out of breath and bones and blood human lives. Blessed are you, you all, the makers. Blessed is the making. As you dream and plant together, let love guide you. Complicated love, hardworking love, creative love, love embodied within a life-giving and life-sustaining crucible. Yes, let us always be led by love, but let us allow peace to try us too. Let the seemingly peaceful trouble us, that we might renew our ability to dream dreams and make them happen. Let us be troubled enough that we may speak with bravest fire, dreaming and making the dream reality. And let us also act, firing the cauldron of creativity, each for our own recreation, and for that of this beloved fellowship, as you remember today and every day that you are loved, you are worthy, you are welcome, and you are needed. May you feel it so. May it be so. And may we say together, amen. As Diane extinguishes the sanctuary chalice, please extinguish your chalice at home and say the words with me which are on your pew cards. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.